What's good, people? It's your boy Scooty MMA. We're finally here with UFC 328. We've been waiting for this card for a while. This card is a certified banger. Now that it's finally here, let's get on to it, bro. So we're on to the first fight of the early prelims. We got Clayton Carpenter against Jose Ochoa. Both of these guys have a similar record, like 8-2, all both coming off of a loss. Clayton, he's coming off of two losses recently. He dropped a decision to Takir, and I think he got Kimura'd by Filio too last time around. Ochoa last time around also dropped a decision to Asu Almabayev. Both of these guys are looking to get into the win column. The fight's going to be exciting. But if you talk about these fighters in detail, Clayton Carpenter, he is a grappling machine. The man's got so many accolades, like he's a all-in-all elite grappler. But now if you talk about Ochoa, he trains at Shoot Box Gym alongside Charles Oliveira. So we know his grappling has been tested and is going to be elite level. And also, 7 of his 8 wins are by knockout. So this is a knockout machine. Both of these guys have the accolades, have the tools to finish each other. But I believe Ochoa just edges it. So my pick for this fight is going to be Jose Ochoa by a round 2 knockout. Next up, we got Baisangar Hunter Susarkayev against Jordan Shakur Santos. Now, Hunter, he's an undefeated Chechnyan prospect coming into the UFC. He recently just burst onto the scene after he basically, I saw 8 months ago, he worked as an Uber Eats driver and he just got called up to Dana White's Contender Series. And since then, he's had 3 fights in less than a year. Been super active. Unlike one another Chechnyan we know. Now for this guy, 9 of his 11 wins are straight knockouts, so he justifies the name Hunter. He is a knockout machine, always on the hunt for that knockout. But he's coming up against Jordan Santos. He is a very experienced and tough veteran. Basically, he lost his debut fight in the UFC, but bounced back with a win again. One more important thing to note about Jordan Santos is that he's never been finished in his entire career. So this is a real test for Hunter if he can hunt for that knockout. But if he cannot get that knockout, this is also going to be a test for his gas tank if his cardio can sustain those 3 rounds. But I believe the hype train is real. These Chechnans are a different breed of fighters. And I think he gets that knockout. So my prediction for this fight is going to be a round 1 knockout for Hunter. Well, let's see this. Next up, we got Pat Sabatini against William Gomez. No, I can't lie, bro. William, you look goofy as hell, bro. Like, we got to do something about that photo, bro. Anyways, coming on to the fight, Pat Sabatini, absolute submission machine. Got 21 wins. Out of those 21, 11 are straight submissions. After his knockout loss to Diego Lopez, he bounced back and is now on a 3-fight win streak. Basically, he's a crazy ass grappler. He's gonna grind you to decisions, but he's always on the hunt for that submission too. Like his heel hooks are crazy. William Gomez, on the other hand, he's a pretty big featherweight. Now he's 6 feet and has got a 73 reach advantage, which is absolutely crazy for this division. Now William Gomez, I believe he's like when I was researching about him, I saw that he has expertise in some Chinese martial art, which involves basic kickboxing and Muay Thai with your regular judo throws. So that's some crazy style of fighting I've never heard of. But what this guy does is basically utilize his reach in this division, just point fight you to a decision. Now how I see this fight goes is basically Gomez tries to keep that distance, just keeps Sabatini on the range of that jab, grinds him to a decision on all 3 rounds. But if Sabatini snatches that leg once, this fight is over. But I think Gomez's takedown defense is just enough to nullify those attempts. So my prediction for this fight is going to be a decision win for Jaguar. This is going to be an interesting fight to watch. Now, last fight of the early prelims, we got Roman Kopylov against Marco Tulio. Now, Roman Kopylov, we already know, is a veteran in the game. He is a Russian elite kickboxer and also sambo specialist. Recently, he got outclassed by Paulo Costa and CLD, which is a shame, but still he has the skills. He's coming up against Marco Tulio, though. Marco Tulio also a stand-up guy, hits like a fucking truck. But recently he got chinned by CLD, so that is something we need to keep a check on. If this fight stays standing, Roman Kopylov always is going to have the edge because he's the more technical striker. He'll have those kicks, he'll have those hooks, he'll have those jabs. And Tulio recently just got chinned. So I believe this should be a pretty one-sided fight for Kopylov. This should be his chance to get back in the win column. So my prediction for this fight is going to be a round 2 knockout for Roman Kopylov. Let's see him get back in the win column. Okay, the first fight in the prelims, we got a lightweight veteran scrap on our hands. We got Jim fucking Miller against Jared Flash Gordon. Now, Jim fucking Miller is basically UFC. What the UFC embodies, that's what Jim Miller is. A fucking legend of the sport. Jim Miller is the only fighter who's fought in UFC 100, UFC 200, and UFC 300. 42 years old and has so many records. The most wins in the UFC, the most fights in the UFC, the most lightweight fights in the UFC, you name it. Jim Miller has been there, done that. Jim Miller, we know the BJJ is crazy, has like more than 20 submission wins. Jared Gordon, on the other hand, is no slouch either. Gordon, basically, his comeback story is very, very inspiring. He battled heroin addiction. He was homeless, but still, he fought all of it and made it to the UFC. Last time around, he literally got hit by a car one day ago and still managed to come into the fight, but eventually got knocked out. But like, you cannot deny his heart. Now, this is one of those fights where like you vouch for both of the guys to win because like both of these guys are just so likable that you don't want either to lose. But if I were to pick one, man, I'm going with Jim Miller, bro. I'm going with Jim fucking Miller. I believe at 42 years young, he still has the tools to hang with the best. And yeah, I believe Jim Miller gets another choke. He finds it deep. And my prediction for this fight is a round 2 submission win for Jim Miller. Okay, next up, we got a potential fight of the night contender on our hands. We got Grant Dawson against Mateusz Rebecki. Now, Rebecki is an absolute dog. He always puts on some fucking wars and absolute barn burners. Basically, every time you watch a Mateusz Rebecki fight, you are sure to get impressed. You will never be disappointed watching Mateusz Rebecki. And this fight is going to be similar. Grant Dawson, a wrestling pedigree, 16 of his wins are by submission. Basically, always on the hunt for submissions. He's going to take you down and going to keep you there. And I believe Mateusz Rebecki has the wrestling ability to match his. So these are just two guys who are like crazy good at BJJ, also can wrestle. But this fight only depends on who's tougher now, and I believe this is where Rebecki thrives because Rebecki, like as good as his wrestling and grappling are, he can throw some absolute fucking bombs. I mean, the past 3 fights, I mean, they are just absolute proof that Rebecki can do everything. Like even though he dropped those decisions, but you cannot discredit any plan of Rebecki in those fights. So I believe this is a fight of toughness more rather than skill. And this is where Rebecki just takes the win. So my prediction is Mateusz Rebecki by decision. Another fight of the night classic. Let's get into it. Next up, we got Joel Alvarez against Yaroslav Amosov. Now, this fight on paper is like almost a pick and fight. This is like as close a fight can get. Both fighters have solid cases of basically dominating each other all over the fight. We'll start with Joel Alvarez. Joel Alvarez is on a 4-fight winning streak right now. Basically, the guy has 23 wins, and out of those 23, 17 are finishes. So he's always chasing the finish. Last time around, he just outclassed Vincente Luque to a 30-26 decision. His previous 2 fights saw him get some flashy flying knee knockouts, and before that, he got a submission win. So basically, the guy can do everything. Now, on to Yaroslav Amosov. Little known fact, Yaroslav Amosov is a war hero. He served for Ukraine in the Russia-Ukrainian war, so the guy has just elite mentality. And in his UFC debut, he submitted the crafty wit Neil Magny with an anaconda choke. Like, who even does that to Neil Magny? Basically, as I said, solid cases can be made for both fighters. Like Joel Alvarez, he's got a 77-inch, which is crazy for welterweight. So, he just has to maintain his distance and like find that one punch to land, and like it's just lights out for Amosov. And for Amosov, what he has to do is just surmount just enormous amounts of pressure on Alvarez. Just keep him in the clinch, keep him on the mat, grind him to a decision. How I believe those fight goes is Alvarez, of course, tries to keep him on the distance, but the pressure and the mentality Amosov has, he just gets into those tight spaces and just pressurizes Alvarez to the point that like he immobilizes him, and yeah, Amosov just takes the decision. So my prediction for this fight is Amosov by a very close 29-28 decision. I like this fight, like I can see going to a split decision too, because this is as close a fight gets on paper. Gonna be a fun one to see. Okay, for the last fight of the prelims, we got Atiba Gautier against Ozzy Diaz. Atiba Gautier, we already know he's like probably the biggest prospect in the middleweight division right now. Has been on an absolute tear right now. The last time around showing was kind of weak, where he couldn't find the finish. But apart from that, he's been finishing his opponents in the round one every single time. Now, Ozzy Diaz, like sure, like he's decent, but like he got chinned by Zhang Miang and Joe Pfeiffer. So, like basically a weak chin against Atiba Gautier. We know how that ends. Gautier gets an early knockout. So my prediction is a round one knockout for Gautier. Let's get this out of the way. For the first fight of the main card, we got King Green. Let's fucking go. King Green fight. We're always up for it. Against Jeremy. Who the fuck is that guy, Stevens? Now, King Green, he's on a 2-fight win streak, carrying some solid confidence coming into this fight against Jeremy Stephens. Now, Jeremy Stephens been away from the UFC circuit from a while, tried everything PFL. What am I even saying? PFL, BKFC, you name it, he's been there. Stevens basically he doesn't have a chin left anymore, and I believe King Green just capitalizes upon it. What Jeremy Stephens is gonna do is gonna throw just clueless haymakers and overhands, and I believe King Green has the slick hood style, fucking head movement to basically dodge those overhands and those haymakers. And yeah, King Green is gonna make easy work of Jeremy Stephens. So I predict a knockout for King Green. So my prediction for this fight is a round two knockout for King Green. Let's see him ride a 3-5 win streak now. Now we got Sean Brady against New Mansa Joaquin Buckley. Now, now during fight week, I see so many people counting out my boy Buckley after the last Usman fight. Now, y'all must be stupid if you think Buckley did not work on his takedown defense after the Usman fight. Brady just got knocked the fuck out by Michael Morales. And y'all must be on crack if you think Joaquin Buckley not gonna do the same to him. Like, it's insane how I see so many people are just saying Buckley is just a bum and he's gonna get out wrestled by Brady once again. Like according to me, my prediction for this fight is a round two knockout for Joaquin Buckley, bro. Let's see him back in the top five and like, grind up those rankings. Next up, we got a heavyweight barn burner coming our way. We got Alexander Drago Volkov against Salsa Boy Waldo Cordes Acosta. Now, this fight, I've seen some varied opinions from people. Like some are saying, Waldo just chins him in like 2 rounds and Drago just is too experienced for him. But I have a similar opinion on this, but I'll still break it down. Alexander Volkov, basically like one of the most experienced guys in the division right now, a full-on crafty veteran. The only loss in his past 5 fights you see against Cyril Gahn, technically he lost a split decision, but like in my eyes and in probably everyone's eyes who watched that fight, he definitely won that fight easily. So yeah, well, like basically he's on a roll right now, been on a crazy form and crazy streak. But yeah, Waldo Cortes Acosta also coming off of 3 straight round one knockouts is in a crazy form. This fight, I believe experience is going to be the main weapon here, and Alexander Volkov got plenty of experience on his side. I believe Volkov just basically keeps him at the end of his jab, basically pieces him up for 3 rounds and gets the decision win. Waldo, I believe this is going to be one of those learning experiences for Waldo. I'm pretty sure he can bounce back from this and, yeah, be a future contender in this division. So, my prediction for this fight is going to be a decision win for Volkov. Okay, co-main event, we got a title fight on our hands for the UFC flyweight title. We got Joshua Van, the flyweight champion, defending his title against Tatsuro Taira. Now, Joshua Van had a pretty solid 2025 where he had 4 fights in basically 9 months and won all of them, which basically earned him a title shot, and he won the title. I mean, not convincingly, but I'll still give it to him. He is the champion, defending it against Tatsuro Taira. Now, Tatsuro is basically a submission machine. He's one of the best grapplers in the flyweight division right now. The guy is basically always on the hunt for submissions. Now, the only difficulty in breaking down this fight is we haven't seen enough of Joshua's grappling, and that is Tyra's biggest weapon. Now, if Joshua has the takedown defense to nullify Tyra's grappling, which we haven't seen yet, this is basically a one-sided fight for Joshua because I believe Joshua Van pieces Tatsuro Taira up on the feet. Like, sure, Tatsuro Taira is also a pretty slick boxer. He's too fast, but Van is on another level. Uh, but like the thing is, as I said, like we haven't seen any credible evidence of Joshua Van's grappling defense or offensive. So I'll rely on what I have seen and like the evidences don't lie. Tatsuro Taira is one of the best grapplers in the division. He's the first guy to finish Brandon Moreno too. Basically, on paper, Tatsuro Taira wins this fight 9 out of 10 times, and I'm counting on that grappling. So I believe he takes Van through the first 3 rounds, and he finds a submission in the championship rounds. So my prediction for this fight is going to be a round 4 or a round 5 submission for Tatsuro Taira. I think we'll finally see a new champion, and it'll be very fun to see Taira defended against the actual champion, I'd say, who's Alexander Pantoja. It's going to be a fun fight. So finally on to the main event, the middleweight title fight. We got Hamzat Chimaev against Sean Strickland. The odds are heavily in favor of Chimaev. Like, we've seen all of his fights. Like, the thing is, Sean Strickland has done some pretty solid trash talk coming into this fight, like how he's knocked out Chimaev in sparring, and like how he's defended takedown, like his wrestling is super good and all. But we don't have enough credible evidence to say that Strickland's defensive wrestling is solid, which I highly doubt. I think that's just trash talk. So I'll rely on what we've seen. We've seen Chimaev absolutely dominate Dricus du Plessis in his title shot. And I believe this fight also plays out the same way. I'd like to think, like, because of all the trash talk Strickland has done, like has basically said into this fight, that Kamzat would be looking for the finish. Like, he'd probably look for the submission, but I do not think he finishes Strickland. I just believe this fight is another lay and pray for Chimaev. And yeah, he just basically grinds Strickland to another 50-44 decision. That is gonna be my pick. But if anyone has the element of surprise in him, it's fucking Sean Strickland. Like, if it's happened with Izzy once, like Sean Strickland is one you never count out. But honestly, I'll be the happiest guy if Sean Strickland somehow manages to fucking get the win, bro. Like, this is genuinely gonna be one of the best UFC stories ever if Sean Strickland manages to get the win. But realistically and logically, I do not think Strickland stands any chance here. I'm gonna go. My prediction for this fight is Khamzat Chimaev by decision. And yeah, the next title defense is probably gonna be 2 years later. And yeah, the middleweight division is absolutely fucked. Anyways, I'll see you next week.